Вперед! Шагом! Марш!
In the aftermath of the First Battle for Sarria, the British forces fall back towards their winter quarters. The French, initially wary of continued British aggression, now ponder if aggression would be the best policy. Meanwhile, in the north, the 1st Brigade makes their way onto the highway. As the 3rd Brigade and supply train continue down the valley, the British forces in the south advance up the same highway, with the Highlanders leading the way. In the southwest, the British supply train heads to a nearby village to restock. All the forces slowly make their way towards each other, with emboldened French brigades marching to the mountains, attempting to re-engage the British. Sir Percival Giffard makes his way towards the survivors of the battle for Sarria, arriving at the same time as the Highlanders take control of the bridge that was so important last season. As Sir Percival sets his pieces to receive a French assault, the French 3rd Brigade emerges from the valley's forest and runs straight into the Highlander Brigade.
Ambush in the valley. As the Napolese forces march out from the forest line, they find their way barred by a horde of English heavy cavalry with multiple Highlander battalions in support. Taking position on a small hillock, the Napolese note the battlefield is split in two by a small creek and marshy ground. Unbeknownst to the Naples commander, the British 3rd Brigade is not far away, and their commander, the stubborn General Fairfax, is quick marching them towards the conflict. French turn 1. The infantry is ordered forward, as the cavalry take up a supporting role, waiting to see what action the foe will take. British turn 1 begins with a thunderous roar as General Hector MacDonald notes his advantage in artillery. The experienced English artillery managed to weaken the French skirmishers with their increased weight of shot. At the same time, General Hector MacDonald leads his remaining forces in a headlong charge towards the French. French turn 2. Holding their nerve, the French line and skirmishers fire volleys into the oncoming cavalry, to little effect. British turn 2. As the cannon continue their onslaught, Fairfax's lead elements arrive and begin to advance through the long grass. French turn 3. As French skirmishers continue to pepper the advancing English cavalry, a cry of "Vive l'Empereur!" erupts from the French troops. The French line and supporting lancers charge the lead cavalry elements, as the Napolese battalions form squares. The melee proved to be extremely brutal, with both small British cavalry regiments driven off. Unfortunately for the Napolese forces, their bloodthirsty commander falls to an English sword, draining the resolve of the French at the most inopportune of times. British turn 3. Joining the 1st Brigade's cannon are the howitzers of the 3rd. As British shock continues to take a toll on the French forces, General Hector MacDonald orders a general charge into the dejected foe. In the meantime, General Fairfax's 3rd Brigade continue to make their way through the long grass. The French lancers are easily swept aside by the impetuous British heavy cavalry, who then proceed to overrun into the Napolese square. The square holds strong, and the wounded cavalry finally decide discretion is the better part of valor, and fall back. The other melee proves to be a carbon copy, ending up with both British cavalry forces in the rear, licking their wounds. French turn 4. Dread starts to sweep through the French forces, as they realize just how outnumbered they are, and their new leadership, paralyzed on what to do, makes no bold moves. Ineffective French musket fire continues, failing to affect the advancing British. British turn 4. Sees the British forces sitting back, and beginning to whittle down the French with cannon and musket, whilst more of their forces, brought forward to deliver the killing stroke. French turn 5. As ineffective French fire continues across the battlefield, the brave Chasseurs Archeval regiment charges into Fairfax's light dragoons, hoping to blunt the British advance. Unfortunately for the brave French cavalry, the fight turns against them, and the British dragoons continue on, to run the French skirmishers off the battlefield, before falling back to their main force. British turn 5. The cowardly British forces continue to pour lead into the Napolese squares, as Fairfax moves his brigade to surround the last of the French brigades. French turn 6. With no other choice, the remaining French forces form square and continue to pray for a miracle. British turn 6. Unfortunately for the pious forces of Naples, the heathen Highlanders show no mercy, and with guttural cries charge into the square, shattering the formation. French turn 7. Resigning themselves to a glorious last stand, the French continue to fire from their squares at the oncoming British horde. British turn 7. As the British cannon show no mercy to the square on the hillock, the Highlanders sweep away the remaining forces in front of them. French turn 8. British turn 8. Surprisingly and against all odds, the French are wiped from the field. The day ends with a most convincing win for the forces of the British Empire. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map,